I'm Kat.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy.
A tipsy night class teaching the oddities and curiosities you never learned in school.
What are we drinking for this learning journey, Hayley?
Well, I thought we were drinking spiced wine, alcoholic wine, but it got heated up too much. So we are still drinking that with some cider mixed in.
Yeah.
But we also have actual alcoholic ciders lined up.
Yeah. We thought we were like getting drunk. We're like chugging this wine, and then 2 mugs later, we blew the breathalyzer and we got zeros because I guess we boiled it too long and there's no alcohol in it.
It's scary when you're drinking wine and the placebo's hitting so good.
I just feel cozy. Like the wine is so warm in my belly and tastes so good.
This is how life is supposed to feel. Any other time of the year that I'm not drinking cider is the worst.
Terrible. I like when it's cold outside, it's warm inside, but you have a window crack so you can feel the cool breeze.
I like opposites. What are you gonna do?
And you have a hot cider wine and a cold cider next to it.
It's all about balance. Why have one when you can have both?
Yeah, let's just have an array of alcohol. Let's get a bar cart for Alex's studio.
That's actually what we need. That's a great fucking idea.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really? Your clients won't be like, why does
I think they would
this
like
guy
it.
have a bar cart? Yeah,
I
we
can
could get
just
some nice
move
alcohol.
it when there's other clients.
that's true. It would
they'd
be
like
very
it.
like Sopranos / Mad Men of you to like have a carafes of alcohol in your place of work.
Yeah. I'm down.
I'm not an alcoholic.
No. We just need it once a week when we come here so I don't have to rush home in between work and here and pack my lunchbox full of beer.
I have one rule, no gothic themes. It has to be mid-century modern, kind of a beachy feel.
I'm out.
I'm in. I think we can do that. Could go right here next to the plant. Would look real good. Get some cute alcohol bottles.
Oh my God.
Maybe like look, never touch, decor only.
Yeah. I was at Goodwill the other day and they had so many like crystal pieces, like you could get some crystal. What do you even call that? A decanter. Yeah.
Okay, so we have our weekend mission. We're going to Goodwill.
Oh my God.
We're going shopping.
Any reason to go to Goodwill.
Every time.
I'm in. I bought a haunted lamp from Goodwill this week.
What makes it haunted?
I don't know. It just looks haunted. Alec hates it. I can tell.
Of course, Alec
I could tell
hates
by
it.
the way he looked at it.
What does it look like?
It's like it looks like it's from I don't know actually. It's like a ceramic woman in like a gown and her hair is like brown and flowing and it's like she's the lamppost.
Is it
It's
an
very
oil
cool.
lamp?
No.
Damn it.
I
you
wish.
know those ones that look like it's raining?
Oh no, it's not that,
I
unfortunately.
want one of those so bad.
Me too. They're gorgeous.
They're so expensive though.
Yeah. This
Oh my
one
God.
was not expensive.
I
but
thought you
love her.
unknowingly got one of those.
No,
and I'm
I
like,
would know.
I would die.
I did buy the lamp and I was like, I'm going to buy it because I know if Alec doesn't let me keep it, Hayley will want it.
Yes, I will. There's no such thing as too many lamps. Right now, I'm deciding between 2 lamps. They've been sitting in the front room next to each other forever.
What do they look like?
Well, one is really ornate. It's like that blue one that's super embellished that we had at the old house. And it has like gold accents and there's red in there. And the other one is just plain silver with like a beige, really a low-key, just average lamp.
Boring. Go for the ornate one.
Yeah, I think I'll keep the ornate. I'll keep both, and then when I actually can buy furniture for the front room, I'll figure out what the vibe is then.
Okay,
And then
okay, good deal.
Save lamps. So you can never have too many lamps.
No, it's the only lighting I'll put up with.
Yes, lampsonly.com.
That's it. Well, you just got back from leaving me.
I did. I went to Indiana. My friends Mitch and Maria got married. Congratulations. I went on their first date. I unknowingly did. I supervised it. So I'm glad
you're
that
the chaperone.
it worked out.
And then you chaperoned the wedding.
I did. Somebody has to.
Were you
Maria.
there the wedding night?
In spirit.
You like have a
With the
baby
lingerie.
monitor. Yeah. That's true. Did we get an update on what lingerie she chose?
We have not.
Oh, text her immediately.
Maria, I'm talking to you. What the heck?
Maria, I've never met you, but I want to know what lingerie you wore on your wedding night.
Super.
Very, very normal request.
This was referenced on a previous episode.
Yeah.
For
We're
those
not,
who are
if
confused.
you're not that creepy.
You know.
If your true fans understand.
Yeah. So they got married. It was awesome. On the way, I got to see my great grandmother, 94 years old, living alone. And I found out something very interesting about her and her daughter, my great aunt.
Let's hear it.
These girls drink. I had no idea. We went to dinner and we were like chugging wine. And then my grandma was talking about the next morning, she's asked me what juice I want. I'm like, I don't really drink juice. I don't want any. She's like, oh, okay. Well, my favorite way to drink juice is with vodka in it.
When you're that old, I feel like you would just want, like, why not be drunk all the time? What do you have to lose?
Yeah, I think that's her philosophy. It was amazing. I had no idea because I've never seen either of them drink. It's really like, I don't know. The family reunions are a little weird, a little, on the boring side. There's no drinking on my dad's side of the family at family reunions. And okay, alcoholism does run in the family, but
wow, I'm shocked based on this story about your grandma drinking a screwdriver and calling it orange juice.
all of the alcoholics that I know of are deceased. So I think for the next family reunion, I'm going to bring a box or two of wine and I'm going to drink with the cool kids.
Yeah. You and the old ladies are just in a corner getting drunk.
I got some family gossip too.
Ooh,
awesome.
Let's hear it.
I can't. I'm not gonna.
God damn it! Why would you bring that up and not? Why wouldn't you tell me before we record it? Now I'm not gonna be able to read my notes because I'm gonna be wondering about the goss.
It's good goss. You should be mad. Just know that you'll be glad when I tell you later. I can't believe I didn't tell you before
that was
this. I kind of
so
forgot.
Rude.
I know. I know. It was super rude. But you're gonna be like, what the heck?
Who's it about?
We got to get off it if you're not going to give it to the audience.
I know. Now we're
You're
torturing
just edging
everyone.
the audience, yeah.
It's not
Sorry.
fair.
I'm sorry.
Can she
It's
tell us
just-
and we just bleep out names?
No,
No.
Kat.
No, we cannot.
Fine. But yeah, while you were gallivanting around Indiana, I was here in Memphis watching the cats and
You were
doing
being
nothing.
Auntie Cat and
Yeah.
Uncle Alec.
I was anti-cat to the
TT.
cats. We watched.
It sounds like you're saying you're anti-cat.
Oh, Auntie Cat. They're Auntie. TT Cat. And we watched Bling Empire and drank chai tea lattes. And
Ooh,
it was
so
a really
chic.
good time. Yeah.
Love that for you. You've like entered the cool aunt phase of your life, I feel.
I think I was born into that phase.
that's
unfortunately.
Yeah, you definitely were.
I've always been a stick in the mud who wants to sit and drink chai tea with cats. But
No, cool aunts are
works.
cool. You
Thank
know,
y'all.
you gotta experience it to understand it. I've had a cool aunt in my life, so
Really, I have to.
see, we're
Yeah.
blessed.
Yeah, so hashtag blessed. Well, that's all I got.
I have a Patreon shout out.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Peter Clayton, thank you for joining our Patreon. We appreciate you. And instead of, because at the tier that he joined, we send a postcard, we send a handwritten note, we send a sticker. He said just buy a beer instead. So thank you for that, Peter.
Love you, Peter. We're going to have to go get a beer.
An alcoholic beer.
Yes, not
No.
a non-alcoholic beer.
We need to distinguish between the two, apparently.
Yeah, it turns out there's a difference. Oh no, there's a fly trying to eat my mulled wine. Go away.
Yeah, what if the fly just came in the thermos? It's always been. He got revived when the oxygen hit him. He's just in the can.
Honestly, it wouldn't faze me. I feel like now that I keep my wine outside of the box in a decanter, I like worry all the time that somehow a fly is going to crawl in there.
Ew, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
It looks so cute that you don't think of the cons
It's
until.
sealed,
Yeah.
but it's a fear.
still scary.
I check every time I pour myself a glass.
The phrase, now that I keep my wine out of the box.
The wine's out of the box.
Yeah.
I'm not buying bottles of wine. I'm putting my box into a bottle.
I mean, you gotta be classy somehow.
And not buying boxed wine is not it. That's not an option.
No, I would go broke. It would not be okay.
Yeah, we have to be financially
Responsible. Yeah,
that's the word.
I'm doing grown-up things by drinking boxed wine well into my 20s.
It matches the vibe.
It does.
And the wine tastes the same.
Completely the same. And I've plugged it before, but at Trader Joe's, a box of wine costs $12. So
going to Trader Joe's. After this, I'm driving to Trader Joe's.
Oh, wow. I will not.
I'm committed. I have to have it right now because there's no alcohol in this wine.
Grocery store bingo.
Yep.
We got it in the first 10 minutes.
That's right.
If you're playing at home.
Shit.
Grocery stores are important.
Know what you were talking about? I was like, there's a game? Like, I was like,
someone made us a night classy bingo once upon a time, and we never did anything with it. I need to go back in our DMs and find it.
I don't think you ever even told me about it.
I did, but it was like literally like 3 years ago. It was so long ago. It probably doesn't even apply anymore. We've gotten so much better at this.
Yeah, we're so good.
So good.
We've completely transformed.
Yeah, I'm not the same person.
We're unrecognizable.
Just kidding. Anyway, are we ready?
Yeah,
okay.
Let's do this.
We blew zeros because this wine has no alcohol. So I'm going to switch to the cider. Yeah.
Not we. I am
both
an
of
idiot.
us. I should have put more apple brandy in the mulled wine. That would help next time. Anyway, so like I promised last week, this week I am talking about the Dogman. Much of what I know about the Dogman and a lot of what is included in my notes comes from Dogman Encounters Radio, which is a podcast hosted by a guy named Vic, and he invites people on to share their firsthand encounters. It's an awesome podcast. I really recommend checking it out. And of course, that goes with saying that with most cryptids, Dogman is no exception, and there aren't a lot of traditionally, quote unquote, reliable sources. So we kind of just have eyewitness accounts to go off of. Of course, take that with a grain of salt and a heavy dose of skepticism. But I will say that I've listened to a lot of Dogman encounters, and hearing the fear in people's voices and the sincerity and just like the sheer volume of how many people have seen this thing, I feel like not everyone is lying, and there is something to this. I will start off by saying, you can call me crazy, you can tell me I'm stupid, but I believe in the Dogman.
I believe.
I do. And by the end of this podcast, I hope you do too.
I need to make a drop out of that.
You know that song that I'm singing?
No.
Or is it completely unrecognizable?
I don't know what song you're singing.
I think it was in Shrek.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. What? There's this sixth grade, I don't teach sixth grade, but there's a sixth grade girl who, she loves me. She just like comes in my room. She's just like kind of latched on, and so she came up to me today, and she has a sketchbook that she sketches in, and she comes up and opens it, and she goes, "Miss Barnhart, do you like my drawing?" And it's a drawing of Shrek, but he's shirtless and like jacked, and it like covers the entire page of this giant sketchbook, and he's just like muscled out naked with like a Shrek head. And she's like, "Do you like my drawing?" I was like, I don't know that I do.
Do I like
I'm nervous.
No. Do I love it? Yeah.
That's true.
Do I need it?
Yeah. Tomorrow I'm gonna ask her if I can have it.
Have it.
I have a lot of candy. I can trade her for it.
Make a copy. That is so funny. I found this Instagram account that is like that, but it's a bunch of different Shrek pictures where one of the things they do is go through all of the movies and cut out the clips where Shrek makes eye contact with the camera. And they're like, eye contact. It's a Shrek Stan account, and it's absolutely insane.
That's
and I just
so funny.
Love it.
But yeah, so
she needs to send it into that account.
Yeah, she does. I'll be sending it in if I'm able to convince her to part with it. But she's incredible, and I had to share that. It was the best part of my day. Anyway, if you don't know what Dogman is, it's a humanoid werewolf-like cryptid, most often seen in North America. The most famous sightings have occurred in the Great Lakes region, notably in northern Michigan and Wisconsin. But there have been sightings recorded all over the US and Canada, and even in other locations around the world, including Australia and Europe. It is said to be pretty tall, usually around 6 feet, give or take. I think the tallest encounter I read about, they said it was like 8 feet, and the shortest was around 5'6". So there's a little bit of a range. It's bipedal, so it does stand up on its hind feet, but it can also run on all fours.
He's just an average guy, you know. Sometimes he plays around a little bit, gets down on all fours.
It's like I too sometimes run on all fours at the stairs. We all do it. And much like me, its back legs are longer than its front legs. So when it runs on all fours, it like has a strange gait.
It
like,
looks weird.
It does look weird. It looks different from a typical wolf, because a lot of times people will say like they see a wolf running, but like it looks weird when it runs because its back legs are so much longer.
That's just me running. Like,
I think you've got it switched. The arms are really long, the legs are really short.
Really?
Yeah.
In the ones I read, it said its legs were long, but maybe there are different types, so maybe it depends. You would know better than I do. Alec
species.
is a very much a Dogman expert. This is why I proofread my notes to you yesterday. This is the kind of thing I wanted you to catch. And now you're calling me out on the air.
I didn't hear it yesterday.
Okay, sure. He just wanted me to embarrass myself.
Yep,
in
that
front
was
of
on
everybody.
Purpose. That was Alex. Like, stop being toxic right now.
That was malicious.
I'm going to be here fact-checking all night long. Buckle up.
Please do. I'm here for it. If you ever want to chime in with a story, because Alec probably listens to 20 hours of Dogman Encounters radio every day. So
I just love so much that is the thing that he's latched on to. What did it start with? Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Started with Bigfoot. Last Halloween, I did a special, and I mentioned Bigfoot, and I actually got hooked. I didn't believe it before that. And then that led me down the Dogman thing. If you listen to enough encounters, you start to believe it.
Yeah, it's hard not to when you're hearing people tell their first-hand account. Like I
fully agree.
I feel like it's not believable. Like you might not believe it from my notes because I'm like reading other people's stuff. But when you hear someone tell it themselves, it's hard to look in their eyes and call them a liar. That's all I'm going to say.
Mostly because it's on a podcast.
Yeah, mostly because I can't see their eyes.
But also because it's so scary.
So scary. Dogman can be black, gray, or brown. It has long, hairy dog-like legs with like hocks instead of knees. You know, like a dog, how they kind of bend the other way than human knees.
Yeah.
But it has hairy human-like arms, and it's usually really muscular with a human-like torso. They're kind of sexy, and
that was casual of you.
In a lot of the pictures, it's like furry like fan art, like where they're like all like buffed out wolves with like human pecs and abs. One thing that's really scary about them though is they have paws on their back feet, but on their like arms they have hands, and that's like something that a lot of people describe as terrifying, is if you see this wolf and then it reaches for you with a hand, but the hands usually have long sharp claws on the fingers.
Ugh. I just want to know who fucked a wolf.
Yeah.
Who started this?
Somebody did.
This lineage. Somebody did it.
There's theories that dogmen, speaking of fucking a wolf, are human, like, alien or wolf hybrids that are created by aliens.
That's
put
a
on Earth.
much better alternative than bestiality.
Well, it probably still resulted from bestiality. A human had to be impregnated by a wolf somehow.
Yeah, for me, I just think of it being created in a lab.
Yeah,
I don't want to
hopefully.
think about it.
We can hope for that. The head is supposed to be especially terrifying. It's a very large dog or wolf head. It's often described as looking like a German shepherd, but others have been reported to look more like a hyena, or a lot of times have you seen the black werewolf from the movie Van Helsing?
No.
It kind of looks like the werewolf from Harry Potter, but black. Do you remember the Harry Potter werewolf? Okay, never mind.
Can I pull up the Van Helsing video? Because that's the one that all the people who encounter it say, like, that's what I saw.
Sure. Do you want to do it while I talk, or do you want to just edit out the
I'll pull it
space?
up and then I'll chime back in.
Okay. So it has huge pointed ears, a long snout, and when it opens its mouth, it has razor sharp teeth, like huge, long, sharp teeth. And the teeth might be exposed when they growl, but the creatures are a lot of times described as sneering or smiling. They
Ew.
seem to take a blatant pleasure in terrifying the witness and get a kick out of it.
You know what I think would be scarier than them having super sharp, long teeth is if they just had human teeth.
Or like
in its
little
snout.
tiny stub teeth,
Oh,
like when
like a
people get
cat.
veneers. Oh, like a cat. So I mean, like, have you seen the before images of when people get veneers and they shave down their teeth? That is
Yes.
terrifying.
Yeah, that is.
People report that when they see it with its mouth open, they can only believe this is something demonic, as like that's how scary it looks, and its teeth are just like otherworldly sharp. They can have blue, black, or amber eyes. Sometimes they're described as glowing red in the dark. They reflect light differently, I think, than most predators, because people will see their eye shine and then be like, "That I know that's not like a cougar or a coyote or whatever." There's also a second type of dogman, according to Dogman Encounters Radio, and this one's referred to by Vic as Type 3. And it actually resembles Bigfoot. So it has like human legs, or not human legs, but like more human legs, like with knees, and an ape-like face. But instead of a Bigfoot that has the flat, like human nose, they have a long snout.
Ew.
Yeah, sounds horrific. And they also don't have a tail. So
Oh, if you're gonna be a dog man, I think you should have a tail.
yeah, why be a dog
Only
if
the
you don't have a
coolest
tail?
ones do. How else are you gonna balance?
These type 3s, though, are far less reported, but also seem to be less aggressive than canine dogmen. Dogmen are super duper aggressive and like mean, but they rarely actually attack people.
Yeah, type 3 are more man dogs, maybe.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Here's the Van Helsing clip real quick.
Ew. It is ripped.
We are both part of the same great game, Gabriel. But we need not find ourselves on the opposite side of the board.
What?
So yeah, it gets a little out of control there, but as you can see, that would be scary to see.
Yeah, it's like a huge, jacked, black, hairy werewolf. It's a werewolf. Dogman is often accompanied by packs of coyotes and wild dogs. Sometimes they say like it takes care of them. They're kind of its entourage. It might hunt for them and feed them. And it also shows an interest in people's domestic dogs. It doesn't normally hurt them, but it always like seems to like kind of want to get a look at them. It's like, why aren't you
Yeah,
like
he's like,
me?
what the fuck is that? What happened to you?
Many reports cite that the sounds of like they'll hear these packs of dogs barking and howling and yipping, but then the dogman makes a different sound entirely. It growls and roars so loud that the sound like reverberates through your chest. It can shake the walls of a house. It feels like infrasound almost. And someone made a Google Maps of dogman encounters, and there was one encounter in Memphis. And they didn't see it in this encounter, but I guess in the medical district, they were working in the hospital, and everyone heard like a crazy like roar, like the like
What?
shook like vibrated their chest. It was so loud.
How weird for that to happen in a city.
Yeah, and they are in cities. Usually they are in rural or remote areas, but they've been spotted within the city limits of Cincinnati.
Hey, we know her.
We do. Dallas, Chicago, Columbus, and others. I heard one encounter of it being in New Orleans, so
I could
you
see
know
it being
that
in
makes
New Orleans.
sense.
That
Yeah.
fits.
Has anyone you know ever talked about just being aware of the dogman in Cincinnati?
No, but I'm sure if we asked my mom, she would be like, "Oh yes, I know about Dogman."
Yeah, your mom seems like someone who's into cryptids.
Yeah, because it's like she's into conspiracies, so that belief, also bleeds over into the supernatural.
I'll take it. I love that.
We'll take it for cryptids.
More than one eyewitness has seen one in Central Park in New York City.
What?
Yeah.
Ew.
Alec was telling me about, we one time went on a walk at night, and they're building a development in Memphis, and right now all the houses are empty, and it's kind of like in a state of being half built, and it's surrounded by woods. And we were walking one time at night, and we would always like give that area a wide berth because we're afraid of the Dogman.
You think he needs a house to reside in?
I could see him like jumping around back there. There's just so
Hiding
much
there.
junk and places to hide.
So much room for activities.
So much room to be
You get a workout
werewolf.
in, do some like push-ups.
Yeah,
some
he's like
sit-ups.
using 2x4s as dumbbells.
Yeah.
Yeah. People tend to see them a lot of times from their cars, either running alongside the road or stepping out in front of their car, even chasing the vehicle. They're supposed to be super, super fast. Like they run. It reminds me a little bit of the vampires in Twilight, the way people describe them running, how they just like speed and they're like a blur and they can run like up to 70 miles per hour, like alongside your car.
Inhuman speed.
Inhuman speed.
Fast
What
as
are
fuck,
you?
Boy.
Yeah.
Say it.
Many people also see them from their cabins or farmhouses. Dogmen seem to delight in scaring people. They'll show up and you might see them from your window at night looking into your house. Sometimes they'll run around your house, and you'll just see it speed by your window every few moments. They also might jiggle doorknobs, knock on the walls, just doing things that they're not outright attacking you, but they are purposefully terrifying you and making themselves known.
Mischievous. I would not expect that from a Dogman. I thought he was more of Bigfoot, I guess, more of a recluse,
No, they're not like Bigfoot at all in temperament. They're Bigfoot can be aggressive too, but Dogmen seem to seek out human encounters.
Yeah.
For the point of terrifying you.
Cannot relate to seeking out humans.
Obviously, Dogman is supernatural in and of itself, but some of the stories have additional supernatural elements, like the Dogman communicating with you telepathically, or sometimes sightings are accompanied by sightings of strange lights or UFOs or orbs or ball lightning, whatever. And people say that about Bigfoot too.
A lot of those do sound alien in nature. So
Yeah.
I like the theory that he's some kind of alien made hybrid type thing.
Me too. And that's probably the craziest theory, but that's also the one that I kind of lead towards, because from everything I've heard and read, it doesn't sound like something of this world, and it also doesn't sound like a spirit, it seems like a physical entity that's not supposed to be here.
Yeah, the aliens were like, all right, the dog is man's best friend. What if he can be his own best friend?
What if he can be man's worst enemy?
Oh no.
Just flip it and reverse it.
I'm so scared.
There was one encounter we listened to with a guy in the army, and he saw it on base, and he was driving a Jeep, and it was up on the Jeep. And so then and it ripped out all this stuff in the car or in the truck. Oh, there was food. And so when he got back, the lieutenant was like, "Why is this all torn up?" And he tried to explain himself. And the guy didn't believe him, but then they called in another group allegedly, and that guy said we need them as much as they need us, and that's all you need to know.
What?
And
Yes,
I've always thought that was a fun detail.
That is a fun detail. They're just leave it alone, don't harm it, and shut up.
yeah, some people think they're here to protect us from something. I don't know.
What? Ooh.
Maybe other aliens? Maybe they're the guard dogs of Earth to deter other aliens from coming here. We sound insane.
We do. I like it though. It's fun.
Yeah, it
One
is.
more
It's fun
detail
being
along
insane.
that line is there were 2 farmer encounters where they called the sheriff. The sheriff did something, and then a unmarked SWAT team type thing comes in, and they have some kind of device, and they said when they pull the trigger on this device, all the dogs like flip upside down and start having seizures that are on their property. And they don't know. That's just a detail that's happened twice. So
Yeah, like they use it to control the Dogman, this sound.
Weird.
Yeah. Definitely weird. Definitely a little wacky, but I like it.
we're going wacky for Halloween.
Yeah, we may as well. This is Blue Adept round 3. So in 1987, a radio DJ in Traverse City, Michigan named Steve Cook played a song on April Fool's Day. The song was called The Legend, and he recorded it himself, self-produced, accompanied by a keyboard. And the song begins, quote, "On a cool summer morning in early June is when the legend began, at a nameless logging camp in Wexford County where the Manistee River ran. 11 lumberjacks near the Garland Swamp found an animal they thought was a dog. In a playful mood, they chased it around until it ran inside a hollow log. A logger named Johnson grabbed him a stick and poked around inside. Then the thing let out an unearthly scream and came out and stood upright. None of the men ever said much about what happened then. They just packed their belongings that night and were never heard from again." The song goes on to describe other encounters with this dog-like beast.
What if I was like, what's it about?
I know. I read quite a lot of it, but I wasn't sure. Like, I didn't feel like I could cut it off any sooner, you know, to get the point across. So the radio audience, though, loved it. They were like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. In the coming weeks, it became the most popularly requested song at that radio station.
That's actually so funny. I feel like he really took a risk with self-producing, writing, recording, and publishing a song.
I don't think he expected it to blow up like it did. And he seems like a cool guy because he ended up selling cassettes of the single for $4 and donated all the proceeds to a local animal shelter. So that's cool. And the song was popular not only because people thought it was real and they're like, wow, this is a cool legend, but because many people in the area related to it as they had similar encounters with a dog-like humanoid creature. Cook's radio show was flooded with calls from people sharing their Dogman sightings. And this was highly confusing to Cook because he'd never heard of the Dogman, and he, quote, made it up completely from his own imagination as an April Fool's prank for the radio.
Okay, that's shocking.
Yeah.
What is going on?
So he just thought he was like making a funny song and played it, you know, on the radio when it was like his chance to, which was April Fool's Day. He says the song was inspired by Native American legends and just general American folklore, but the actual stories in the song were completely fabricated.
The aliens tapped him that night.
Yeah.
And inspired him.
The men in black showed up at his house and said, you have to say this is a joke.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, Cook's song launched Dogman into popularity and encouraged people to come forward with their own stories. Dogman stories before the release of this song in 1987 are rare. There are not very many. This is really like the catalyst of the Dogman movement. That's not to say, though, that Dogman didn't exist before this song, because while stories before 1987 are rare, they're not unheard of. The first alleged encounter of the Michigan Dogman happened in 1887 in Wexford County, when two lumberjacks saw what they described as a creature with the body of a man and the head of a dog. A second early encounter happened in 1937 in Paris, Michigan. Some sources say 1938, some say 1937, when a 17-year-old boy named Robert Fortney was attacked by 5 to 6 wild dogs. The dogs started to get close to him, and Robert pulled out his rifle and fired a shot in the air to scare them away. This did send them running, all except for one dog. The last dog was large and black, and it stood in place 10 feet from Robert and stared at him with piercing blue eyes. Then it grinned at him. Can you freaking imagine?
No, I would pee my pants so quick.
Immediately. So Robert fires another warning shot, and at this, the dog stood up on 2 legs. And standing upright, it was about 6 feet tall.
Run.
Yeah.
Run away.
No,
Or just pass out.
I think I would just lay down on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't think I could even. I mean, you can't outrun it. Like, what do you even do?
Passing out sounds really good right about then.
Yeah, just get it over with. So this thing actually ran away, and it ran off on 2 feet. An additional encounter happened in 1967, and I don't have any details about that one, but I include it because if you think about it, Cook released his song in 1987, and the other encounters I listed occurred in 1887, 1937, and 1967. So according to legend, the Michigan Dogman appears every decade on years ending in 7.
I like that. I like the little tie to some kind of schedule of the return, kind of like the Bell Witch.
Yeah, and I'm someone who needs a plan, so I'm glad that there are rules.
Yeah, I need to know
what's happening here.
Otherwise, I'll be riddled with anxiety.
Yeah, I need to know what to wear. Like on a year of a Dogman sighting, like I have to be prepared, know where we're going, know what we're doing, plan my outfit accordingly.
Yeah, just be recording at all times so that if we hear one of the rumblings of the roars or if we see Dogman, then we'll be prepared. We'll have like one of the best upvoted posts on Reddit.
Yeah. We'll re-release this episode right before 2027. Ready for the slew of Dogman sightings and people looking for an explanation.
If you're listening to this right now, congratulations, you've time traveled.
What were you doing in 2017?
I was in college, living my best life.
No Dogman?
No Dogman, not that I
Bummer.
know of.
All right, me either, unfortunately, but we have 2027 to look forward to.
Can I add one note on there being very few reports of it previous to the Dogman song? Is 9 times out of 10 people think they saw a werewolf. So the term werewolf is used, but werewolf implies it's a man that turned into this.
Yeah.
And the cryptid is the Dogman. So
It could be werewolves.
Definitely. And
I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just meant like in terms
people
of
might have been
search
talking about it
terms.
as werewolves.
Yeah.
Totally. And that refers specifically to the Michigan Dogman because that's kind of almost grown into its own thing. People see like werewolves, like you said, all over, but the Michigan Dogman is sort of like its own entity, even though they're seen all over the place. Let's see. So there is this pattern of famous encounters, although like there's also a bunch of random encounters in other years that don't fit this pattern. One such notable encounter happened to an anonymous witness in 1988 in Alto, Michigan. He's unique because he saw this creature twice in his life, and he believes he saw the same one each time. The first time it was when he was a kid. He was playing out in the woods when he suddenly heard a huge splash. I think he was playing next to a lake or a creek, and he looks over and sees a dark-furred dogman bolt into the woods, and it's switching between 2 and 4 feet, kind of scrambling.
Weird.
Yeah.
Make up your mind.
Right. God. He just
can't get a good look at you when you're scrambling like that.
He describes it as almost 8 feet tall, 300 pounds, with blue eyes. He said it looked almost like a timber wolf, but with longer legs. So he saw that as a kid and didn't tell anyone. I think he kind of started to convince himself, like, you know how your memories when you're a kid, you're like, okay, maybe I made that up, you know?
Yeah, and there were so many times that I was making things up just because I was bored in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Or, you're just a kid. You imagine things for fun.
I just realized this is now me probably like disassociating from
That's why
for who knows why.
up.
But I had an entire make-believe world in my head and like all these characters, and I would like talk to them in my head and like play out all these like scenarios, and like I was more part of my imaginary world, I feel like, than my real life world. And Sometimes I think about that.
Yep. I have never related to something more that you said because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And it was like Alex and I would play it out together, but I was always thinking about it. It was like my world. And I tell like, okay, here's what maybe we should do next in this like game that we're playing.
Yeah. I would like kind of go through like the motions of real life, but like everything like
I was like
interesting happened happened in my mind where I had a whole nother thing going on.
Mm-hmm. Life is more fun when you're not you.
Yeah, when it's your imaginary dream world. Yeah, much more fun.
Second life.
Sometimes I wish I
Cheers.
could do it again. Like sometimes I'll try because I remember how fun it was, and then I just feel silly doing it as a grown up.
Yeah, you should try and embrace it more.
I should. Do
just
you do
spend,
it?
I relate that
Yeah.
it's like hard and then you're like, I don't know, am I about to lose my sanity?
Yeah, I don't really want to go back to that place because it was definitely a response to being unhappy.
Yeah, it felt really good when you were in it though.
Yeah, it did. I would literally just lay on, like, I'd be excited to go to bed at night because then I could just lay in the dark and live in my, this is not something to unload on the podcast. I need a therapist.
Better help.
Yeah. Anyway, so 20 years later, he ended up seeing the same creature again in 2008. This time it was in Lowell, Michigan. He was sleeping in bed one night when he heard a loud thud on the roof right above his head. And for some inexplicable reason, when he heard this thud, he knew what it was. His childhood Santa. His childhood memory of the creature comes flooding back in this moment.
Ew, that is some telepathical shit.
Yeah, telepathical indeed.
Is that the telepathic?
Yeah. I like telepathical.
Me
though.
too.
When it comes to Dogman, it gets its own word.
Yeah.
So he's instantly flooded with fear, but not only fear, but anger, because he has been like terrorized by this creature in his dreams his entire life since seeing it as a kid. It was been like this scary, life-changing experience. So he grabs a machete and runs outside his house to confront the creature.
Wow, that's
Not what
actually
I would have
insane.
done. Yeah.
Absolutely not. You hide under the covers and you don't come out until morning.
Yeah, you disassociate. Obviously.
Go to your second life dream world. Like a
Please.
regular person.
Right, like a well-adjusted, happy person who's not depressed and anxious at all. Anyway, so he steps outside and he looks up at his roof. And peeking over the gutter at him from the roof is the head of a large dog. He says it then jumped 30 feet in the air and then ran on 4 legs to the tree line. And he's chasing it. He is ready for a confrontation, but when the creature reaches the tree line, it spins around and looks at him, and it locks eyes, and it's grinning at him.
This child needs to calm down.
He's not a child anymore. He's now a man.
Oh, he's a man.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, go off. Go off. Now that I know you're a man.
Do it. You won't.
This creature then uttered a single word. And this is interesting to me because they don't usually talk. But this one does. And it just says, don't. Yeah.
It says woof.
It says, come get me, daddy. Woof. And then it shakes its little tail at him. So in that moment, the man stopped dead in his tracks. And he says when he was looking into the eye of this creature, he suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of calm. And that's something I've heard a few times is it can control your emotions. And usually from what I've heard, it stokes fear in people, but this time it calmed him down. And the dog man turned and slowly walked into the woods, and this guy turned around and walked into his house, and they just parted ways.
Why was the dog man on the roof, though?
Because it was like looking over the roof down into his window.
Why
I
is
think
he
he might have
looking
been
at
on the
him?
second floor. Because that's what they do. We don't know why, but they like look in your windows and tap on your windows and like just like fuck with you in your house.
Maybe they're just little guardian angels wanting to make sure that you have a healthy amount of fear in your life and wonder.
Maybe they're harvesting fear like in Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, that's fun. And then we use the fear to as clean energy.
Turns out Monsters Inc. is a documentary.
Some people think it is. QAnon does.
Oh,
remember?
no.
You're the one who taught me that.
No, I don't remember.
Oh, maybe I heard it somewhere else.
Let me seal it in for trivia.
The second most notorious location for Dogman sightings is Wisconsin because of a slew of sightings in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, along a stretch of back road called Bray Road in the late 1980s and early 1990s. The first sighting occurred in 1989 to a woman named Lori and Drizzy. She was on her way home from her management job at the Elkhorn Lodge, so she worked in hospitality and got off really late at night. She's driving home. It's like 1:30 a.m., and these roads are dark. It's a small town. It's a farming community, so they're lined with cornfields and woods. I don't know if there's streetlights, maybe not. And she spots something on the side of the road. It's a dark brownish gray figure hunched over, and she can't see much, but she does see that it has pointed ears. And as she gets closer, she notices it has a canine face. She says, quote, "Its elbows were up and its claws were facing out, so I knew it had claws." And she was especially traumatized by seeing these claws. She said they were just so big and sharp. And the creature seemed to be holding a piece of roadkill. She said it was about 5'7", 150 pounds, and its eyes reflected the light from her headlights. Instead of running off, the creature met her eyes as she gazes at it from her moving car. She says, quote, "To this day, I believe it was satanic. It was just my feeling. I don't really believe in werewolves per se, but I believe that something could be conjured up. My grandmother was very religious, and she believed it too." The next day, she called the animal control office of Walworth County and reported this strange animal.
Call a priest if you think it's demonic.
That's true. But I mean,
what are you going to
even
do?
if it's demonic, like animal control's got to be.
Don't put animal
notified.
control in charge of that. They're going to get mauled.
Yeah, they don't get paid enough to deal with a werewolf.
Absolutely
Their
not.
job is collecting roadkill
Yeah.
and picking up stray cats.
They need to go scoop it up.
Yeah.
Not trap Dogman.
Yeah, that's
Have you
not their
seen his
responsibility.
claws?
Call the military for that.
That is another common thing. Is like 9 times out of 10 people think they're somehow looking at pure evil, and it gives like the most evil sensation to them. Like when you said it felt like calm, I've never
Yeah.
heard that before.
Yeah, that was weird to me too, because usually it's the opposite. But it could have been that it just didn't want him to chase after it, so it calmed him down.
And they also, this is common with the Sasquatch encounters too. We're getting crazy here, but the mind speak stuff where they'll like, you just hear stuff in your head. But a lot of them will say like, if you tell anyone about this, like I'll find you and I'll kill you and stuff like that. So they have this unsettling nature. And there was one recently where a woman was describing her son who was a cop who encountered one. He shot it. It said in his mind, "I'm always going to follow you." And so he started drinking and like not wanting to go out on his rounds, and he ended his life 6 months later.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, terrifying. So she reported it to animal control, and her entry was the first of many to be added to
No
animal
way.
control officer John Fredrickson's folder, which he titled Werewolf.
Werewolf?
Where a wolf? Where? So that's where we get the Beast of Bray Road. It's a nickname for this dogman that apparently stalked this stretch of road, and they got tons of reports from it, but the second report wouldn't be added until 2 years later in 1991. Doris Gibson was driving down, again, Bray Road. It was foggy that night, and she was picking up her friend from a Halloween party. It's Halloween night. Suddenly, she felt her tires lift off the ground. She thought she'd hit something, so she stops. She gets out of the car, and she's looking around. She thinks maybe it was a deer. She can't see anything, though, so she shrugs it off and turns to go back to her driver's side when this thing lunges at her. She said it had brown, straight fur, a canine face, a muscular frame, and walked on 2 legs.
You would think that you were going crazy if you saw something like that.
Because it is a werewolf. Like, it looks like literally you just watched a video of it. It looks like a stereotypical werewolf. So crazy. So she sees this and she bolts to her car, jumps in, and, quote, just put her foot on the gas pedal and started going. She didn't stick around, obviously.
Smart.
However, when she pulled away, the creature grabbed onto her back bumper, trying to hold the car back. And it didn't succeed in holding the car back, but it did leave deep claw marks in the metal.
Ooh, are there pictures?
Not that I know of. Maybe in the Beast of Bray Road documentary, which I did watch, but I watched that a while ago, so I don't fully remember.
Yeah.
And the same night, so she picks up her friend, and now they're on their way home along that same stretch of road. Can you imagine, like, having to drive back?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I would not be going back. Not to blame her, but it'd be a no for me.
No,
At least for
it's
that
not her
night.
fault, but like
Yeah.
you must be terrified. And I don't know what's better. Like, I don't know. I'd probably like go get my friend too, because I'd be afraid that the werewolf was going to eat her if I left her at this party.
True.
But then you have to keep driving on that road. Oh my God, it's so scary. So as they're driving back, they both then see the same werewolf-like creature, and this time it's just like running through the woods alongside the road. Hearing about this series of sightings, because at this point it's not just these two. There's a number of people reporting it. A local newspaper, Walworth Country Week, assigned reporter Linda Godfrey to cover the story. And Linda is, a normal, well-educated reporter lady. So she's skeptical, right? She thinks she's going to go talk to all these people in bumfuck nowhere, and she doesn't think it's real. But she spends a few days in the town interviewing witnesses, and they are terrified. Like, everyone she talks to, she said, like, they're just dripping in sincerity and fear. And from this, she came to believe in the creature herself. She ended up writing a book called The Beast of Bray Road, Tailing Wisconsin's Werewolf, and she contributed to the documentary on the Beast of Bray Road. And many of the accounts Linda cites in her book are from farmers who saw the creature running through their cornfields and drivers who say it attacked their car. On her website, Godfrey writes, quote, "There's a high probability that everyone is not always seeing the same thing. There could be a biological, physical animal seen by some, while others see phantoms or supernatural entities from a variety of sources. A few may be misidentifications or hoaxes." So she freely admits that this sounds crazy, but she does believe there's something to this.
Yeah. Imagine being one of her loved ones and just watching her go all in on Dogman.
Yeah, I know. She really dedicated her life to it, and she's interviewed extensively in the documentary, and she's very sincere, and she did a lot of research. She talked to a lot of people. I haven't read her book, but I did read the free sample that's on Amazon that you can read until you buy it.
Practically read it.
I practically read it. I read the first 10 pages, and it's a lovely book.
Do you need?
That's all I need. Just kidding. I would like to read the whole thing, but it's I always start these and I think I should buy the book and read the book for research, but then by the time it gets here, it'll be too late, I'm not going to start my research
and
early
you're not
enough.
going to do research a month out.
No, obviously not.
You didn't read the erotica one you got me called, what was it, Taken by the Dogman?
I actually did read it.
Oh.
I stole.
Wow.
So I bought Alec a Dogman erotica for his birthday because he loves Dogman, and I read it. It was pretty good. If you're
Was it?
into bestiality, maybe it is humanoid, so maybe it falls more under the furry category. But yeah, I recommend it. I left it a 5-star Amazon review. I thought about bringing it here and reading an excerpt from it, but
You
I don't
should
really want a
have.
video of me doing that online.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing about the Beast of Bray Road documentary we watched?
Yeah.
There's a cool part of it where there's this one farmer who moves on to a farm on Bray Road, and he said he had some hired hands who were doing work, and we're like, "Oh, Bray Road, like the beast." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And they explain it to him, and so then he was interested, and he saw it freaked out and set up a bunch of cameras all over his house and started laying dead deer out in his lawn with all the cameras.
Yeah.
And so this farmer got obsessed with it. And he's like showing them all the pictures, and it'll be like the deer is there, and then the next frame the deer is gone, and it'll just be a mist there. And he's like, I don't know what the fuck this thing is.
And they show the pictures in the documentary. Yeah.
But those are my favorite when it's clearly like these salt of the earth redneck people who are like, this thing's real.
Yeah. Like those are the kind of people you believe. Like they're not clout chasing, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, especially with the farmers too.
Yeah. And it's like they don't have social media. Like what could they possibly stand to gain from sharing their story other than like the fact like they're genuine and looking for someone to validate it, you know? And I don't want to sound like I'm I don't know, like, but like, you know what I mean, you know, because it'd be different if like us who have a podcast and like might be looking for like publicity share a story like that. But when you don't have anything to gain from it, it's like, why not? Like, I feel like, I don't know, it's very believable.
Yeah. See.
And I've heard accounts where old men start crying while they're giving their encounter that happened like 40 years ago.
Yeah, because it was so terrifying. Sometimes Vic's guests will cry on Dogman encounters. And just going back to the Dogman erotica really quickly, it's supposedly a true story. And in the story, it's like the classic, like they're at a cabin, like on vacation, and the Dogman starts coming to her window and looking in the window, and eventually it starts like jerking off on her window. And then she has sex with it. But yeah, so apparently that's
Girl.
true.
Spoiler alert.
If he's coming to your window and jacking off onto it, that is not when you reward him with sex.
I mean, she was into
she
it.
liked it.
She liked it.
That's the
I might
tagline of the
feel-
book, is coming to your window.
Yeah.
I'd feel different if it was Shrek.
That's kidding. Other theories have been raised that people are actually seeing large dogs, just regular dogs like Great Pyrenees or Newfoundlands or German Shepherds, possibly gray wolves that are suffering from mange and like, you know, hairless on certain parts of them. Or that this town is experiencing a case of mass hysteria. But like I said earlier, dogmen are not localized only to the Midwest. They're seen all over the world, including in the Australian outback, where a fisherman named John claims to have gotten a photo of one. And Alec, I forgot to make a slide, but if you could just look it up for Hayley so she can see it. John claims that he was left, quote, petrified for a month after seeing a, quote, half dog, half human creature on 2 separate occasions. The first time he saw it was on a kayaking trip, and he could hear something following him through the brush just off the shoreline. But whenever he'd stop paddling to listen, the footsteps would stop. And he soon realized that every time he paddled, the creature was taking a step. Quote, I stopped for a bit and the sound stopped in the bush too. I thought it was a bit odd, so I took off paddling again, and sure enough, as soon as I started to paddle, every stroke, this thing would take a step. He felt like it was stalking him, and he ended up snapping a photo of the creature, and Alec has pulled up the photo. It's very hard to see. I don't know, Hayley, if you'll be able to see it from where you're sitting, but in the photo, it's like a bunch of trees, and you can see kind of like a black splotch that if you're primed to, you can maybe see how it looks like the head of like a large black wolf.
This is the nose. These are the eyes. These are the ears.
Yeah. It's definitely a stretch. But he claims this is a photo of it. It's maybe the only photo we have of the Dogman. I don't know of any others. Vic, the host of Dogman Encounters Radio, he claims to have a whole bunch of them that he doesn't want to release to the public. So that's shady.
Okay, that's illegal.
Yeah. Maybe he'll share them with just me if I promise not to show anyone else.
Yeah, let him come to your
I'll send him
window.
an email. Yeah.
And this is the New York Post that's documenting this stuff. And
The New York post though.
No, I know. I was just all I meant is that it's fun that this stuff is like mainstream.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought you were this
is
incredible
real.
post.
It's on JSTOR. Yeah. So he obviously leaves the area as soon as he could and was incredibly shaken. He was haunted by this. He says, quote, "I was waking up in the middle of the night and seeing this creature in my dreams." He stays away from the woods for a while, but ultimately does end up going back to the bush for another fishing trip. And this time he heard something large running through the woods. Quote, "As it was running, it was smashing trees out of the way. I don't know if they were breaking or if it was just hitting them. You couldn't see what the bush was like because it was so thick. But he hears it like crashing through. And he says then this creature starts to roar. John left the area as soon as he could, but he heard the roars carrying off the entire 10 minutes it took him to leave. He says, quote, "I've never heard anything like it in my life. It would roar and then it would breathe in. And then the breath it was taking was actually louder than the roar it was doing. This creature just went to another level and it was so crazy. I could hear something in my head saying, 'Go now or you'll die.' It wasn't my own voice, my own consciousness. It was something else."
Dogman is grumpy today. You need to get out of the woods.
Yeah.
Go home. Take a chill pill.
Yeah, Dogman just wants to have a bubble bath and drink his glass of wine, and you are disturbing him, sir.
And you're taking pictures of Dogman in his home?
That
Rude.
is so mean. Imagine if someone took pictures of you in
You
your
would be
home.
pissed too.
Yeah.
You'd be breathing so loud.
So loud. I would
Louder than
be
you, girl.
wheezing.
I'd be crying.
John's encounter is just one of hundreds, possibly thousands. And it's, of course, really easy to dismiss as a silly myth, but when you listen to the fear in the voices of witnesses, it's hard not to believe them, at least believe that they saw something. So many of the stories also have significant similarities that are hard to overlook. There's a lot of common trends. We've already touched on a lot of them. Some people think that this creature is from indigenous legends, possibly a skinwalker or a wendigo. Others think it's a prehistoric wolf or a dire wolf that somehow isn't really extinct. Maybe it's a demon. People make the connection between dogmen and ancient Egyptian gods like Anubis, which has the human body and the black dog head. So maybe that artwork that we see in like ancient Egyptian artwork is of the dogman. Maybe that's what they were seeing. The most wild theory, and we've already talked about this a little bit, is that Dogman is extraterrestrial, or at least is a human hybrid put on Earth and created by extraterrestrials. And people have the same theory about Sasquatch, so maybe there's something to that.
I think so.
I think so,
I would
too.
like that a lot. You know, the converging of the supernatural and the extraterrestrial, I think that is my vibe.
Yeah, I think so too. And it just, for me, like, it seems like such a physical entity. Like, for a long time, I thought, like, I didn't know about Dogman, but I thought, like, oh, Bigfoot, like, maybe it's not physical. Like, maybe it's some sort of, like, forest spirit or entity like that. But then same thing with Dogman. Like, you listen to the encounters and it seems like it goes beyond that. Like, it's something like flesh and blood.
Yeah, I think so too.
In any case, if you're interested, again, please listen to Dogman Encounters Radio, read Linda Godfrey's book, The Beast of Bray Road, or watch the documentary, or check out my other sources, which are dogmanencounters.com, 10 Disturbing Dogman Sightings of the American Midwest by Aaron Fox on listverse.com, the Michigan Dogman Wikipedia page, the Beast of Bray Road Wikipedia page, The Legend of the Beast of Bray Road by Archer Parquet on milwaukeemag.com, and Man Claims He Was Stalked by a Terrifying Dogman, Monster in Australian Outback by Katie Davis on NewYorkPost.com. That was the Dogman.
This is something that I don't want to see, but I do want to see it at the same time.
I don't think I do. I think it would ruin my life.
I want to see a video of it. A good, clear video.
There you go. That's a good compromise. Because I think if I saw this thing in person, I would never like want to drive at night ever again. I'd never want to go into the woods. It would be like horrific. You'd think you were going crazy.
Yeah, you're right. So show me the video, world. Get to it.
Yes, please take a good video of this thing. But
Do you want to see the Facebook Live one real quick?
Oh, yeah. Do you want to show that?
So there's this guy who was on Facebook Live saying there was a bunch of weird stuff happening. And when he flipped the camera to go outside. So there's like a lead up to this. I'll go just a few seconds back.
That's the exact motherfucking spot now. That's my backyard. I'm zooming in a little piece. This is the exact spot that I
Wait, I didn't see it.
Hold on.
So it's hard to see. It's gonna run across here, and it's really tall and really fast, but it's like a blur.
This is the exact spot that I just...
There it goes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it looks like the Harry Potter werewolf. It's like tall and thin and gray.
Yeah.
Runs across.
And there on Reddit, someone put a GIF of it up, but
Oh, yeah, there it goes. Yeah, it is really tall. Ew. Creepy.
so anyway,
What weird stuff was going on before that?
there's tons of information. I can't even remember, but people have delved a lot into that video because that's like the only video allegedly of it. But I just like because it's like, oh,
I don't know why he opened his door. That
Yeah.
would never be me.
Yeah, I mean, good for
brave.
him. I'm glad he got the video.
Yeah, I guess that is what I
Man.
asked for. It's going to take brave
That's
people to
true.
get the proof.
Yes, if you're brave, go out searching for this thing. Anyway, that was my lesson, and we'll BRB. We get told a lot that people have binged the show and they're all caught up. And what do you do when you're all caught up on a podcast? You look for extra content.
You don't have to cry anymore. That's what I do. When the content runs out, the tears are flowing.
When the content runs dry, my face is wet.
That was such a good opportunity to be like, when the content runs dry, I'm going to cry.
Oh,
See,
that's so much better
my
than the thing I
face
did.
is wet. Well, your face does not have to be wet anymore because we have so much extra content on Patreon. It actually blows my mind because
Yeah.
I'm like looking at how much we have and I'm like, I need to go back and re-listen to that.
We started Patreon before we had any listeners, so there's a huge backlog of extra content, like 30 plus episodes.
I think one of my favorite contents that we have on Patreon personally is the substitute lessons. We have, oh my gosh, 15, 20 of those right now. A new person came in and taught us lessons for each of those episodes. So you still get Kat and I, but we get different characters, if you will. They are real people, but
Yeah, but
who come in
they're
and teach us things.
They're so fun. We also have List Bitch, where we do what we do on a regular episode, but in list form. We teach each other, like, what did we do last time? Cursed objects. I taught about cursed objects, and Hayley read a list of excuses why people called out of work in ancient Egypt.
It's better than it sounds.
I think it sounds pretty good.
We also did weirdest laws. I think that was my favorite of your list, bitch.
That was a fun one. And we also revisit old episodes and do trivia that you can play along with. We started doing multiple choice on our trivia, which Alec knocked out of the park, and it's a lot of fun. So if you are caught up on Night Classy and want some extra content, you can go to patreon.com/nightclassy and find the tier that works for you.
We're gonna... I don't know what I was about to say. I was trying to do like, you're gonna like the way you look, but you're gonna like the way you hear.
Yeah, the things you hear will be good.
Enjoy. Goodbye. Welcome back.
Hello.
So, if you're walking in Hawaii and you pass by a duplex on the corner of 8th and Harding Street, you may never suspect that a demon creature once lived in the house previously on that land.
I love a demon story.
This story is crazy, and just, remember that it's folklore. So the Kasha demon is said to reside in the... Oh, shit. Kaimuki in the Kaimuki House. It is a man-eating ghost from Japanese folklore. Other interpretations of this monster include a ghoul who lives around crematoriums and feeds on the dead, and a cat-like demon from the sky who has flames from hell around it, and it steals away bodies at funerals.
Oh
and then,
my God.
Sends their spirit to hell.
What?
Yeah.
I need a stuffed animal of this.
Oh my God, that would be so fun.
So cute. Like
lot
a
of them are
stuffed animal
pretty
black
cute.
cat with like flames carrying a dead body.
Yes.
Oh my God. So
yeah, if you're
cute.
looking up, it's Kasha. Yeah, it is amazing. A lot of them are very cute. And all three versions have one thing in common, even though the stories vary, but they all have in common the fact that they have an insatiable hunger for blood and corpses.
Same.
According to the lore, these creatures are a type of pakineko. They live around humans and frequent highly populated areas so that they can drink all the blood and eat all the corpses. And the Kasha presents itself when it's not in its truest form, if you will. It presents itself as a house cat, so you can have one in your own house, or a stray cat, basically just like a domesticated cat.
This is what Ghost is. That's
For
why
sure.
he seems so wise.
He knows way more than he should.
Yeah.
He knows that he is a Kasha.
I don't think he's ever going to die. I think he's like 1,000-year-old entity.
Yeah, especially because he chose you.
Yeah, he
has that
followed me to my
wisdom.
car.
Mhm. Yeah, he knew.
So we have the dog man and the cat man this episode.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Catwoman.
Well,
Yes.
cat person.
There you go. That's even better.
They haven't gotten their pronouns, so we really don't know. They use their hind legs, and when they're on their hind legs, they stand taller than a person. And like I said, they're surrounded by flames from hell. But it's only during funerals that they transform into their true selves. So maybe when you die and Ghost is still alive, when I bring him to your funeral, because I'll definitely still be alive, maybe we'll get to see his true self.
Well, I'll be dead, so I won't. I need you to die so I can take him to your funeral and witness his true self.
You're way older than me. There's no way.
How dare you?
There's no way I'm dying first.
I'm about to be 26.
Yeah,
That
you're
is
about to get kicked off. Oh, you already got kicked
crazy.
off your parents' insurance.
Yeah, I at least don't have that to dread, and I'm not dreading it honestly. Like I've really come to terms with adulthood, grown into my responsibilities, I think.
Wow, you
I
sound
know.
crazy
I have
right
a new
now.
attitude. I'm on anxiety medication.
Yeah, things are different.
Yeah, things have changed, and it's the chemical imbalance in my brain.
Oh man, that sounds nice. I can only imagine what that's like.
It's good. I can hook you up.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, we'll continue talking about this crazy ass cryptid. So they go to funerals, they transform into their true selves, and they snatch the corpses to send them to hell. They're also known to play with their food. It'll animate a puppet or it'll animate it like a puppet before
dead
eating
corpse?
it. The dead corpse, yeah.
Oh, that is so cute. And that's exactly what a cat would do. They
Yeah.
play with their
They
food.
fling their little toys up in the air
Yeah.
and things. Yeah.
Oh my
it's so
God.
cute. And there's a famous house in Hawaii that is thought to be haunted by a Kasha.
And Kasha's a great name for a cat. I'm naming my next cat Kasha.
Oh, I want to get two cats, Kasha and Sasha.
That would be cute.
And then I can teach them chess.
I
and
thought
they
you were
can
going to
be
say
world
Kasha
champ-
and Dogman.
That would be cute too. A cat
get a-
named Dogman.
Yeah, that would be cute.
Little doggy boy.
Oh.
The original tale tells of a young couple who moved into this house, and on the first night, the neighbors were really freaked out because they were hearing loud bangs and crashes and a lot of commotion and some screaming. Immediately, they're like, okay, domestic abuser, and they call the police. Upon the police's arrival, the couple admitted they were in fact being attacked, but by an unseen force. So they moved out shortly after that.
That seems like a lie that you tell the police when
It
you're
does.
actually attacking each other.
Yeah, that could be, again, grain of salt here. Suspend your disbelief. This story will be so much more fun.
Listen, you don't have to defend your story and its believability
Right
after what
we
I
get
just
off
shared.
Dogman. Police were called to the house again in August 1942 by a woman screaming at 1:25 in the morning, saying, "She's trying to kill my children. She's trying to kill my children."
Oh my God.
Again, the police arrive, but there is no clear perpetrator. The police watched in horror as 3 children were levitated and slapped around in the air, hurled across the room by an unseen force.
When was this?
1942.
Oh my God.
News articles from Honolulu Star Bulletin read, "Police called to shoo Goose away from..."
Shoo Goose?
A ghost.
Oh.
It was a ghost. A goose. I just love that they said to shoo the ghost away. Get out of here.
Get out of here,
Mop it up.
ghost.
Kahuna brewed evils again Wednesday night, dispelling old-timers' hopes that the war stilled it. So people are hoping that, like, because there was war in the world, that maybe the spirits would just calm down.
Oh yeah, spirits notoriously love war. They calm down.
They need to get in on the war and, like, help the war efforts, I think.
Yeah.
If they're going to do anything.
I feel like they would like war and like feed off of it and become more active, at least an evil spirit.
That's what this seemed to have done.
Yeah.
The levitating began after the 10-year-old son was sniffing and he's like, "It smells like a ghost in here."
Okay.
And, quote, angry at being found out, the spirit first attacked him, then began repeated attempts to strangle his sisters. His sisters were grabbing at their throats, the mother said. And she added, "My husband who left me is to blame."
It's like, did you just call me dusty, crusty, and musty? I'm gonna fucking attack you.
You can't smell this. You want to smell something?
Yeah.
Smell death, bitch.
I don't blame it. Someone called me
Probably-
stinky, I'd strangle them too.
What's the, like, ghost scary smell? Is like sulfur, right?
Sulfur, yeah, or like rotting corpses.
Ugh,
Dead
nasty.
animal. Yeah.
So the police get there and they're levitating and there's like this struggle going on. Do you want to guess how long it lasted?
40 seconds.
An hour and a half.
No. And nobody took a picture.
It was 1942.
They had cameras.
It was during the war, you know?
There was a film
Lift with
shortage.
less.
Yeah.
So after an hour and a half struggle, the police concluded that it was a spirit to blame and they left the home and the family left to the mother's sister's house.
I'm glad the police at least witnessed it.
Me
Like,
too.
so that the mom didn't get arrested.
Oh, yeah. They probably wouldn't have cared, though. It was 1942, right?
I guess. I don't know.
I feel like nothing actually became illegal besides prohibition and alcohol until, like, the mid-'80s.
Yeah, maybe.
Years later, a young girl was also attacked by an invisible force in the house. And because I'm an underachiever this week, I did not paraphrase. I'm just going to read this clipping from the newspaper.
Oh, who could say it better than the witness themselves, though?
I think no one.
That's right.
Here we go. Quote, a police officer in a patrol car in Kaimuki got a late night call from 3 girls sharing a house. So this haunted house, which the neighbor considered haunted. All the neighbors consider it haunted. The girls heard strange noises of someone moving around and talking, and one of the girls said she felt a hand on her arm. They decided to spend the rest of the night in Papakolia with the mother of one of the girls, and they wanted the policeman to follow them there. So they're just spooked out, you know. The girls got into their car, the officer got into his, and they drove down Wailea Avenue. Suddenly, the girl driving pulled her car into a parking lot. The policeman later wrote in his report that the girl in the middle of the front seat was fighting off someone who could not be seen, and they were strangling her. He jumped out of his car and reached into the girl's car to help. In retelling the story, the officer said, quote, "A big, strong, calloused hand that could not possibly belong to a teenage girl grabbed my arm and twisted it. I radioed for assistance." The answering officer was prepared for a parking lot fight, but not for a ghost. Quote, "There's a ghost in that car." He told
There's a
me.
snake in my boot.
They're just scared of girls, it turns out.
Yeah.
And he was white as a sheet. The girls were hysterical. Quote, "I told the girl who had been choked to get into the police car and the other two to follow us to Papacalia. As soon as she got into the car, the motor died. It wouldn't start up again." He put her back into the girl's car. The other officer tried the motor and it immediately started. The two cars drove about 5 yards and suddenly the door of the girl's car flew open and the same girl fell out onto the road. Again, she was tearing at her throat as if something was choking her. Together, the two policemen were not strong enough to pull her hands away.
Oh my God.
I have no idea what happens next.
And there
So-
was like a police report on this?
Yeah, it was in the newspaper.
Dang,
I
that's
know.
crazy. Did anyone think to like do an exorcism of the house or like bless it or something?
Well, it got torn down actually in the 2010s. There's a duplex there now. And I actually read the blog of someone who lived in that house and talk about their experiences.
Is it haunted?
Yeah, they think it is haunted.
Okay.
And they were like, admittedly, I'm a non-believer, but after living in this house, I have some different beliefs.
Dang.
I have one more story from before it got torn down. And this happened several decades later. It was in spring of 1977. A young couple was returning from a traditional Hawaiian dinner to the haunted house in Kaimuki, and everything seemed normal. They shut down the house. They went to bed around 8 p.m. And around midnight, the room got super cold and their window was open, but like it's Hawaii and there was no wind blowing through the curtains. It was so cold that the wife woke up and she shot up right away. And she saw this large white figure of a woman standing at the foot of her bed, but it was only her torso. And as the wife got up to take a closer look, the figure disappeared completely. So the couple was spooked. They sought out help from their reverend, and he told them it was just a wandering, harmless spirit who needed a little help moving on. He advised them to put out food and water on their table every day and then throw it out the window at dusk.
Yeah, he's like, relax. That's not the one who chokes people.
Yeah, I know the
How
one
do
who
you know
chokes
it's
people.
harmless, sir?
He didn't even see her. I
Yeah.
don't get it. And after actually doing that for a week, putting the food out and putting it out the window, the white figure never appeared again.
Yeah, it just wanted to be noticed.
Yeah,
You know, give it some
her a little
love.
compliment, you know?
I wonder what kind of food they gave her.
I love that they had to throw it out the window as if she's like going to follow it out the window, you know?
Yeah, why can't you eat it after?
Because it's the ghost food.
Yeah, but she just like goes through it, you know. I imagine her like opening her mouth and then like floating through the food, you know, like Pac-Man style, but
She's
like
just
it's still
getting the
perfectly good food.
taste.
You should eat it after.
Possible origin stories for this house. There's a couple. And honestly, some people dispute whether this lot and that specific house was the house. There's a lot of different stories about it. But possible origin stories include a male family annihilator
Oh.
who killed his two children, his wife, and he buried his wife and son's body in the backyard, and the daughter's corpse was never recovered.
Oh no. So it could possibly still be there.
Yeah. But again, I could not find any documentation of
Yeah,
this.
it's probably just
kinda
a story.
The story. The other story involves a lesbian couple in which one of the partners was also seeing a man. And once that man found out that he was her side piece, he killed her, her wife, and himself in the house.
Oh God.
Yeah. Again, no evidence exists for either of these stories, but those are the two origin stories about how it got haunted
Yeah.
with the Kasha. I guess. You know, it's like if you're going to be a family annihilator, I would expect the Kasha to show up immediately. And
yeah, because it likes dead bodies, especially the first story where the dead body was never recovered. Maybe the Kasha took it.
Right. And maybe it's hanging around because, you know, there's these two tragedies. Maybe they both happened.
Yeah, maybe it's waiting for the next one.
Yeah. Maybe it happened like on how it comes every 7th year, whatever it was. Ooh, maybe
and
there's
like
something
the
to
two
that.
guys murdered people, so they're going to hell. Maybe it like opened up a portal there.
Ooh, okay. I like this.
We have
I
all
like
the theories
it.
tonight. And then Dogman came out and ate everyone.
It's just so haunted. You guys don't even understand. The original house was torn down in 2016. And blogger Keith Mann, who claims to have lived in the Kaimuki House, wrote about his experiences. And I'm just going to read from his blog. He said, quote, "Each supernatural experience I had unfolded in the same way. I would wake up exactly at 4:33 a.m., each time as if I had just been injected with adrenaline. My room would be ice cold, and before I could get my bearings, every internal alarm and gut feeling I had told me that something was very, very wrong. There were no sights or sounds to confirm my anxiety, but my internal alarms would be blaring. Following my abrupt awakening, every smoke alarm in the house would beep once. They aren't connected to a central hub. They're all battery powered in separate rooms, yet they would beep in unison."
That is really weird.
That is off-putting.
Yeah. And they're so loud when they beep too. For
And it's
like
not like-
imagining a lot of them at once.
Yeah. And it's not like they're beeping all the time, you know? It's like they beep when you have to change the battery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird. He also wrote, quote, "I have a portable AC unit in my room that is programmed to cut off once the temperature hits 72 degrees. I never change it. I turn it on when I go to sleep, and it turns itself off. In the mornings when Kasha was all pissed off, my AC unit would get the room down to 60 degrees. It's a low-cost unit, and it isn't nearly powerful enough to make the room that cold."
I mean, that's a good thing, though,
I need a
right?
Kasha.
Yeah.
I need a Kasha immediately. The room temperature wasn't the haunting part. It was the cold feeling in my chest. It felt like being stabbed by a White Walker. My veins were filled with ice water, and I thought my life force was being drained out of me. My chest was tight. I struggled to breathe. No matter what I told myself to calm down, the feeling crept through me like a virus until I could barely move. He often had feelings of someone watching him and would run out of his room, which felt like the most haunted part of the house to him, and he assumed that that was the spot where everyone was murdered.
Ooh.
He didn't think that it was Kasha, but he definitely thought that it was a ghost, and based on what the neighbors told him, it had just calmed down over the years. He was the only one who received these hauntings. He had lived there for several years, allegedly, and he had many roommates over the years, and none of them had experienced the same haunting. But
I'd
also,
be so mad if I moved into that house and didn't experience a haunting. That's not fair.
I know, it's not fair at all. But none of them stayed for more than 3 months after moving in.
Okay.
So that's weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
But every neighbor in the area recalls the haunting and people moving out pretty shortly after moving in to that house. So that was a short and sweet tale about the Kaimuki Kasha house in Hawaii.
It was perfect.
Thank you. My sources are The Story Behind Hawaii's Most Haunted Houses Beyond Terrifying by Megan Schutte and Only in Your State, Hawaii's Most Haunted by Mysteries of Hawaii, I Lived in the Most Haunted House in Hawaii by Keith Mann, and the unexplainedmysteries.com, The Kasha of Haunted Kaimuki House.
Well, thank you.
Can I add
one
button to hers?
Yeah.
I was just thinking of that Radio Rental. Have you heard the Hawaiian episode of Radio Rental?
No.
There was like an ultra marathon that went through the mountains on a loop. I'm going to butcher the details. But basically, there was an ultra marathon runner doing it, and she had someone like take a photo of her at one point, And did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That picture
Yeah.
is so fucking scary.
And I have it pulled up, but
Yeah. For those who haven't heard the episode, it's like in this picture, you can see like a person who's a different color than the surroundings. Like they're all like grayed out and wearing like tattered clothes, and they don't really have a face, but it's like clearly a person standing in the brush.
And their head looks like a balloon. Like they look swollen
Yeah.
and wet.
yeah.
And it's a live picture too.
Yeah, it was a Facebook Live, so you can see it like swoop into the shot in one of these.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about that looking at the Dogman picture, and I couldn't remember which podcast I heard it on, and then
Yeah.
immediately went to look it up.
Yeah.
That's a spooky one. If you guys haven't heard Radio Rental, definitely listen to it. It's so good.
We can add that link too in the show notes.
If we remember.
I'm adding a note.
Okay.
It's your turn for notes, Kat. Remember.
I'll try my best. No promises. All right. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe if you haven't already. We love getting those new positive reviews come in. So please, 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 please leave one. Tell your friends.
I love that rendition.
I'm begging you. Follow us on social media and maybe even join our Patreon if you want to really get in on the action.
Love you forever.
Bye. 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.
Love you forever. Bye. 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.
Say all of the goodbyes. See you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile. Bye-bye, butterfly.
See you soon, you big baboon.
New sign off. Great episode.
Thank you.